December 29, 1913. O Lord, grant that this collective convention of the ending year be for us also the occasion to put an end to a whole lot of bonds and attachments, illusions and weaknesses, which have no longer any purpose in our lives. At every moment, we must shake off the past like falling dust, that it may not soil the virgin path which at every moment also is opening before us. May our mistakes, acknowledged and rectified within us, be no more than vain mirages, powerless to bring any consequences, and pressing our foot down firmly upon all that no longer should exist, on all ignorance, all obscurity, all egoism. May we take our flight boldly towards wider horizons and intenser light, a more perfect compassion, a more disinterested love towards Thee. I hail Thee, O Lord, Master of our life, and I want to proclaim Thy reign over all the earth. January 1st, 1914. To Thee, Supreme Dispenser of all boons, to Thee who givest life its justification by making it pure, beautiful and good, to Thee, Master of our destinies and goal of all our aspirations, was consecrated the first minute of this new year. May it be completely glorified by this consecration. May those who hope for Thee seek Thee in the right path. May those who seek Thee find Thee, and those who suffer, not knowing where the remedy lies, feel Thy life gradually piercing the hard crust of their obscure consciousness. I bow down in deep devotion and in boundless gratitude before Thy beneficent splendor. In the name of the earth, I give Thee thanks for manifesting Thyself. In its name, I implore Thee to manifest Thyself ever more fully in an uninterrupted growth of light and love. Be the sovereign master of our thoughts, our feelings, our actions. Thou art our reality, the only reality. Without Thee, all is falsehood and illusion. All is dismal obscurity. In Thee are life and light and joy. In Thee is supreme peace. January 2nd, 1914. This marvelous silence manifests thee despite the mad human agitation, the immutable and constant silence, so living in all things, that one has but to listen, to hear it, in contrast with all that is futile noise, vain agitation, useless dispersion of energies. Let it flower in our being as a source of light and peace. May its power radiate over all in beneficent streams. Thou art the saver of all life and the reason for all activity, the goal of our thoughts. January 3rd, 1914. It is always good to look within oneself from time to time and see that one is nothing and can do nothing. But afterwards, one must turn one's eyes to thee, knowing that thou art all, and thou canst do all. Thou art the life of our life, and the light of our being. Thou art the master of our destinies. January 4th, 1914. The tide of materialistic thoughts is always on the watch, waiting for the least weakness. And if we relax but one moment from our vigilance, if we are even slightly negligent, it rushes in and invades us from all sides, submerging under its heavy flood, the result sometimes of numberless efforts. Then the being enters a sort of torpor, its physical needs of food and sleep increase, its intelligence is clouded, its inner vision veiled, and in spite of the little interest it really finds in such superficial activities, they occupy it almost exclusively. This state is extremely painful and tiring, for nothing is more tiring than materialistic thoughts, and the mind, worn out, suffers like a caged bird which cannot spread its wings and yet longs to be able to soar freely. But perhaps this state has its own use which I do not see. In any case, I do not struggle, and like a child in its mother's arms, like a fervent disciple at the feet of his master, I trust myself to thee and surrender to thy guidance, sure of thy victory. January 5, 1914. For a long while I have been sitting with this notebook before me, unable to make up my mind to write. So much is all within me mediocre, worthless, insipid, hopelessly commonplace. Not a single thought in my head, not a single feeling in my heart, a complete indifference to everything, and an insurmountable dullness. How can such a state be of any use? I am a veritable zero in the world. But all this is not at all important. And provided thy work is accomplished, thy manifestation takes place, and the earth becomes more and more thy harmonious and fruitful kingdom, it matters little whether I accomplish this work or not. And as it is certain that it will be done, I should have no reason to worry even if I felt like it. From the depths to the outermost surface, all this, my being, is only a handful of dust. It is but natural that it should be scattered on the winds and leave no trace behind. January 6, 1914. Thou art the one and only goal of my life and the center of my aspiration, the pivot of my thought, the key of the synthesis of my being. And as thou art beyond all sensation, all feeling and all thought, thou art the living but ineffable experience, the reality lived in the depths of the being, but untranslatable in our poor words. And it is because human intelligence is powerless to reduce thee to a formula that some, a little disdainfully, label sentiment, the knowledge that it is impossible to have of thee, but it is surely as far from sentiment as it is from thought. So long as one has not attained this supreme knowledge, one has no solid basis or lasting center for one's mental and emotional synthesis, and all other intellectual constructions can only be arbitrary, artificial, and vain. Thou art eternal silence and perfect peace in what we are able to perceive of thee. Thou art all the perfection we must acquire, all the marvels to be realized, all the splendor to be manifested. And all our words are but children's babblings when we venture to speak of thee. In silence is the greatest reverence.